welcome to Writers Blockbusters, the show where we treat the final edit of the movie like the script. I'm one of your hosts, Bob Rose, at Thundergrunt Bob on Instagram, and right now, Jamie's going to introduce himself.
I'm Jamie Nash. I am the writer of Save the Cat Writes Horror, and this, what's the other book I wrote? Save the Cat Writes for TV, and the Save the Cat Beat Sheet Workbook, and a bunch of movies you saw. Like, nobody saw these movies. I'm not going to tell you what they are. Go look them up in the IMDb. I dare you. And then watch them. Rent them for $2 or on Tubi or something.
He's written so many books, he's forgetting the titles. All right, Jimmy.
I am Jimmy George. I'm a screenwriter, and these days I'm more of a DIY home renovator than a script butcher. But
For
you
hire?
can find me not for hire, but you can find
Jimmy
me.
will come over and do your power wash.
That's right, power washing. I can clean dirty pipes and mold remediation. But you can
You
find
might make
me.
more money.
That sounds like you could make money doing that.
No,
yeah,
I have cleaned up so many fake crime scenes in the making of our movies in the past that I've often, considered, like, how disgusting would it be to clean up real crime scenes? Because I have, like, cleaned up the nastiest of the nasty, but I'm sure it doesn't compare to those jobs. But anyway, if you want to find me for notes, you can go to scriptbutcher.com.
Okay, and today we are going to talk about the 2025 or 6 movie Obsession. But first, we're going to go around and we're going to say our personal whatever we want on the movie. I figured I'll go first, and the reason being is, after the three of us, I'm the closest to a YouTuber. Out of the three of us, and I don't even know if that's like not an insult to myself. Okay. So I've seen this movie in theaters like twice now. I've seen the whole movie like 3 or 4 times. I think it's really like a simple concept that is executed amazingly well. I really love it. It's so well done that I actually don't love watching it that much. I don't think I would have seen it a second time if we weren't doing it. I think that the movie itself is kind of become a weird litmus test online with people having extremely dark and deep discussions about, the protagonist and antagonist.
Mhm.
I think Curry Barker did an excellent job creating a sniveling little abusive weasel of a guy and making a lot of people with bad media literacy have very stupid discussions. But on the whole, though, I really do love this movie. The thing I wanted to say is what I said to these two the other night. I saw this movie this past Tuesday. It is currently out on VOD, and in the theater, it was sold out.
That's
like the whole
awesome.
fucking theater was sold out. We had to sit 3 rows up to get tickets, which is not, I normally sit really like far down, but on a Tuesday, like, it's been out, it's on VOD, you can watch it at home. That's how much people want to see this movie still. This
awesome.
Less than $1 million movie. So that experience, and it is a good experience watching it with a crowd. Like, holy crap, really great experience. So I really enjoy this movie. I think it's expertly directed and everything like that. So that's my spiel. Let's do Jimmy.
Okay, so I'm really late to the game with this movie. I just saw it for the first time last night and then again this morning. So and that's it. And I've stayed cold on it because I've just been not engaging with social media.
You've been power washing.
Yes, I've been mold remediating and such. And power washing. Yeah, if only it was that nice. But yeah, so I'm more gonna talk about what was cool was my wife does not gravitate toward horror. She doesn't like horror movies, and which is interesting considering that I make them. And I feel so bad. I've made her sit through so many bad, like, experimental, cheap horror movies at film festivals over the years. So this was one of those cases where I put it on, I watched it at home, and she was walking in the background like Jamie talks about his wife doing often. She was walking in the background and she had no interest in this whatsoever, and she stopped like minute 1 and she started like watching it behind me, and then like 5 minutes in she was like, Jimmy, this is really good. And then and then by like 10 minutes she sat down with me and she watched the whole thing and like absolutely loved it, I think even more than I did. And so considering her tastes, I find that very interesting and cool. And yeah, so me personally, I think it's awesome. And what was cool was one of my first talking points we don't get to talk about much is written from a budget minded standpoint. Like it was a really strong reminder of how you can craft a story that can be executed with very little. And also just like for as low budget as it was, the aesthetics are so good. Like it doesn't look cheap, it doesn't sound cheap, like it's so well made. And yeah, I loved it. I love the performances and a lot of the craft that we're going to talk about. There's a lot of craft on display. I feel like there's a whole second episode we could do beyond these talking points to it, and that's a testament to the writing. So yeah, I loved it.
Awesome. Jamie?
Yeah, so I knew about Cereal and Milk. I watched that back in the day, and I watched The Chair back in the day. I wrote about it in my book. I wrote
both
about,
are solid.
Yeah, I wrote about both of those. Well, I'm not sure I even mentioned The Chair, but I wrote about them and Curry Barker in my book, Save the Cat Writes for Horror, the book I remember.
Jamie remembered the title of that one.
As I also talked about the WNUF's Halloween special.
Nice.
But anyway, so, this was a director on my radar. I was interested to see what he did. However, I didn't see the movie right away. And honestly, I think the title might have kept me, not that it repelled me, it just didn't pull me in. And I was it was one of these weird things where I was trying to stay out of spoiler territory. So I ignored everything online. So all I saw was obsession and a girl.
Same.
I was like, ew, I don't know. That's kind of no fun to me. Like this does not sound like a fun movie. And so I didn't see it right away because of that. Honestly, I maybe this is, sometimes you need to hear spoilers to really be pulled towards it. Because if this was called One Wish Willow, maybe I would have leaned forward or something and been like, what is that? What the hell is that? And it's funny. I talked to a friend of mine today on the phone and I said I was doing a podcast from Obsession. He's like, is that any good? And I'm like, yeah, it's great. I loved it. And he's like, well, what's good about it? And I was like, basically it's a simple concept, but the execution is off the charts.
Right.
And he was, and I had to spoil it for him because he's like, it's Obsession. So is it just about a girl who's obsessed with a guy? And, so a lot of people, I think Fatal Attraction or something. Yep. It's going to be this cheap Fatal Attraction kind of thing. And that's what I thought. So I went in cold and I didn't know what it was about and I loved it. I thought it was great. And that's really all I have to say.
Kind of has like almost a reference to Fatal Attraction in some ways.
Yes, it subverts it. Yeah.
It subverts that. Yeah. The expectation of it. All right. First we got to talk about the fact that it's right under $1 million for the budget. So Jamie, what was the box office like up till right now, which is the 10th of July? Like we can't hear you for some reason.
Instead of Jamie being frozen, he's just muted.
He's muted.
I didn't count today's box office receipts. I called them, but they wouldn't offer.
They wouldn't let you know.
You called the Arbutus in Hollywood.
I did. I called all the
Jimmy's ticket isn't going to count in this. It's just like,
that's right.
So you take off like, what is it, $17?
Yeah, and Jimmy saw it in an IMAX D box or something. So that's like another $1,000.
Saw it on my couch.
Credit. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. So Obsession is right now worldwide at $406 million. Domestically, it's at $248 million. And just to give you a comparison to what this is, so it's number 7 on the 2026 list of movies.
Damn.
Number 1, Super Mario Galaxy at $1 billion worldwide. It's got a little over $1 billion. Michael is number 2, it's almost scratching $1 billion. Surprisingly,
Damn.
that kind of amazes me. It's at 991. The Michael movie.
You could have told me that flopped, and I would have no information one way or the other. No,
I'm kind of shocked. To see it
yeah,
this
I
high.
have no idea.
I knew it made money, but I thought it was like 300 million, 400 million. Like $1 billion movie, that Michael movie. That's wild. So it's just the power of thriller, I guess. Toy Story 5 is at $779 million and still going strong. Still
that just
chugging
came
away.
out like 2 weeks ago, right?
These are worldwide numbers.
Yeah, but that got to 700 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna get to $1 billion. You know, it's gonna be in Michael territory.
No wonder they keep making them.
Make it, yeah. I mean, just
no.
Why do they keep making them?
I'll be honest, because this a movie I actually love, but I could care less about the sequel. Devil Wears Prada 2 it's actually at 688 million.
Yeah, we've talked about we should do the
You do the original, yeah.
Yep. Project Hail Mary is at 683.
Hell yeah.
And here's a movie I don't even know what this is. Bob, you're gonna have to help me with this one.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I see. It's worldwide, but it's not domestic. That's what's going on. Pegasus 3. So it must be some Chinese movie or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's 656 million worldwide, but only 1 million domestic.
Maybe we should do Pegasus 1.
Is it?
Pegasus,
yes.
the Pegasus trilogy.
Yeah, we got to cover the whole thing.
Yeah, and then Obsession, Hoppers, Backrooms, and Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu is bringing
so
up the
Obsession
rear at
and
10.
Backrooms have made more money than The Mandalorian.
Yes,
that's
Mandalorian made 340 million, and I mean honestly, they'll probably outgross. I don't know if they outgross Supergirl or not. I don't know where that falls in this.
It will.
list.
It will.
Well,
Supergirl just hit 100.
I wasn't sure worldwide if that's going to eke out, but I mean,
Obsession essentially made like what the superhero movies last year were pulling in.
Yeah,
somewhere in the vicinity.
Backrooms is not too far at 359 million. So anyway, that's your 2026 round.
That's fucking.
What did
awesome.
Fantastic Four make last year? It was like 450 million or something like that.
Probably something
or
like
500. So Obsession probably will end up making around what Fantastic Four made.
I mean, it's kind of wild to think there's movies like Scream 7 that are behind it. Disclosure Day that's behind it. You know,
wow.
It's pretty.
And Spielberg said he loved Obsession, so there you go.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, I mean, I think the answer is pretty obvious, but Jamie, who wrote this shit?
So Curry Barker wrote this. As we kind of alluded to, Curry Barker is someone that comes from the YouTube world. I think his big kind of thing, honestly, the first thing I heard of him was Cereal and Milk when that went viral. That's a feature. Yeah,
it was That's a Bad Idea or whatever. That's his comedy stuff. I mean, this is a guy who got famous on comedy,
acting,
right? Acting and writing and everything.
Yeah, kind of a troupe almost. Yeah,
That's a Bad Idea is like their troupe is whatever. They're mostly shorts, like very short idea, like comedy sketches, about 30 seconds, 90 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, and I know him from Cereal and Milk, which was kind of a horror movie, I guess, horror thriller, whatever you want to call it. I think the interesting thing about that movie, I think it's really short. I think it's only like an hour long.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like actually like 75 maybe, something like that. I watched it not long ago for the first time just because of Obsession.
What's interesting about it is it kind of looks like a homemade movie.
It's a found footage movie.
It's found footage. It's kind of got all those things. It's fun. It's not as fun as Obsession, but it's fun. It's it's not as awesome as Obsession.
It's
but
a low budget YouTube movie.
But if you watch his short The Chair, that's actually really like production value and technically sound and everything else. And it wasn't a found footage movie. So in some ways, that might be the one that really got this made. And that's what I've heard about this is that, that hold on one second. That he, I'm trying to find my notes on this and I can't find them anymore. They went away. Help me. So that the thing about it was the chair, the producer, and I'm trying to look up his name. The producer that initially became part of Obsession was a veteran producer named James Harris, and he was of a company called Tea Shop Productions, which had a handful of big movies that I can't remember at the moment because I can't find my notes. So he contacted Curry Barker after he saw The Chair. And so he didn't even see Cereal and Milk at that time. And he
I
asked,
think it's Milk and Cereal, Jamie.
Milk and Cereal. Am I? No, I got
I
you.
think it is.
No,
yeah.
you're right. It's Milk and Cereal, and cereal
Yeah.
is like killer. It's like
Yeah, it's
cereal.
SERIL.
What's funny is I think in my book I called it Cereal and Milks, and the editor caught it and did.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So you can be my editor on my next book.
Sweet. You don't want that.
Yeah, there you go. So James Harris contacted him after he saw The Chair, and he actually wanted to make a movie of The Chair. And Curry Barker was like, yeah, he wasn't that interested in that, but he said he had another idea, and that idea was basically the nugget of Obsession, which he was inspired by the Monkey's Paw episode
So The Simpsons.
on The Simpsons. And the funny thing was, I've kind of heard in interviews, like and this is an interesting thing to me, but he knows of the Monkey's Paw because of The Simpsons. Like that's where his reference to Monkey's Paw comes from. Which
not the Tales from the Crypt episode.
You're right. Not for the
various movies and stuff you
Yes.
could point to. Yeah, it's Simpsons.
Yeah, or the original short story, or anything. But yeah, The Simpsons is where he got his Monkey's Paw idea. So anyway, he pitched the idea, and then he kind of developed it with this James Harris guy. Now I can tell you, from a screenwriter standpoint, I'm doing this right now. Development usually means working for free, is what it means. The idea is when you attach to this producer who has contacts and financing and has proven record of creating movies, you're like, it's almost like a step up. It's kind of like cheating, right? Because most of us write specs just sitting here on our computer, and then we send them out and nobody's interested. So at least when you go in the development world, if you can get one person that has some power and connections interested, then when you're done, at least it has a fair shot. And that's why people do it, right? So it's kind of this free work that most of us do, except if you're at the higher levels or you just have this really high ethical barrier to ever work for free. There are some writers who are just like, I would never do that. And there's part of me that's like, I don't know what the job is if you don't do that, but I don't know that they make it work.
Can you imagine, Jamie?
Oh I can't imagine. I can't imagine the job of not doing this kind of stuff. So anyway, by the way, for all I know, this James Harris paid Curry Barker.
Right. We're saying all this.
I doubt it.
I
doubt it.
Throwing cash on the table here.
When I hear I developed, and especially this is pre-Curry Barker WGA. So even if he gave him cash, it was probably like, hey, what if I give you $3,000 or something?
Right.
It wasn't.
And he was like, oh my God.
He was like, $3,000 for my writing? That's crazy. Yeah. By the way, this reminds me of a story. There was a time when early in my writing, it was the first time I ever got paid for something. And somebody hired me. I won't say who this person is, but I think you both might know who this person is. At least Jimmy would. I'm not sure if Bob would. And this person, what they used to do is they used to go to AFM with a poster and they'd sell the movie. And then what they'd do, they'd take that money and they'd hire a bunch of writers to write treatments for the grand total of $200 to $500, right? They'd hire us. And we'd write full treatments based on this poster they pre-sold at AFM and got a little bit of money. And then they'd take they'd hire 5 writers and they'd take all their treatments and then they'd write the script and they wouldn't give you credit because they did the script and you just kind of wrote competing treatments, which they'd steal your ideas from. And by the way, when I was first starting writing, I was like, $500 for my writing? This is insane. And I did it. I did it like 4 or 5 times.
Did any of your ideas break through to become a...
There was one that became a movie and I remember the opening scene was mine. maybe one other thing. The movie's really bad, but like the opening shot was my opening shot for
So
my treatment.
it's okay
and
that
stuff
your
like
name isn't on it, is what you're saying. You got
It's-
your
yeah, it's fine.
$500.
Yeah.
I wasn't upset at all. Trust me. I was like $500. Yes.
Is this person still doing this?
No.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
by the way, it was kind of strangely ethical, except for the part where they got the 5 competing writers, but never any promises made. I mean, almost to the opposite, almost like you knew what you were in for. So it was cool. I don't know. I didn't regret it. It taught me how to do stuff. It was my first few jobs. I don't know how I got on this. I don't know how I got on this tangent.
No, it's okay. I love the tangents.
Yeah, I always like when I
It's a
trigger
screenwriting podcast. It's
Yeah.
fine.
when I trigger some weird screenwriting story, I always like to tell it. So that triggered some weird screenwriting story. But anyway, so this development thing, James Harris, Obsession. Apparently, it took Barker eight months, is what I read in one interview, to write the script. I don't know how many drafts that is. I don't know, what that means. It was produced independently on a budget of around $750. I've heard other people say about $1 million, but $750 is what I've heard. And then it premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. I had a movie premiere there once. Lovely Molly premiered there.
Oh yeah.
And the TIFF has been kind of known for being a horror-friendly festival. It's like one that many, like, I think back to when I was there, like You're Next sold there. Like that was a big bidding war and stuff like that. So anyway, after TIFF, there was a bidding war, and Focus Features acquired worldwide rights for $15 million. So, and that would have been the payday.
Dude.
So the weird thing is, that's probably, like, I know that it's made this ton of money afterwards, but probably what happened was Focus bought it for 15. Now, if it's like the Blair Witch, like that was all those guys really got. They had that in DVD sales on the Blair Witch. So they didn't really participate in, like, how it's making 406 million now.
Yeah.
Instead, they all got, like, initial money from the sale.
Right.
They split it up. I bet agents are better at that now. I bet he has some participation, even if it's a little, like, but 1% of 400 is still better than
1%.
No percent, and 5% is real money. So I mean, 1% is real money. Especially if this thing goes on and keeps making money, and then all the other sales and
people are still going to see it.
Yeah. So who knows how much he made? I'm sure he did fine. And it's really about the next projects, which he already pre-sold and stuff. This what's it called? Anything But Ghosts, which is
he made it before this became huge. Right. Like that's the story. Yeah, and it's not fully, like, it's not horror. It's like comedy horror or something like that.
Comedy horror. It's him and that other guy he works with a lot that I can't remember his name. Do you know him?
The guy who played Ian.
He's in it. He's Ian. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're playing
Cooper Tomlinson.
That's it.
Yeah.
I knew he had a name like a football player.
Yeah. Right.
So
I think the two of them were the sketch comedy troupe.
And the next one it's called Anything But Ghosts, and apparently they're ghosts hunting con artists or something like that. So
incredible. Oh yeah, it was like the Frighteners. I remember now. Not that it's a ripoff, but it sounded a lot like Frighteners, which I think that's great. Yeah,
and I think that's all the information I have now that I found my notes.
And then he's doing Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's everything you need to know about who wrote this shit.
As a YouTuber who didn't do all of this, I'm applauding him.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good job. All right. So let's talk about writing what you have. Which, I mean, what a perfect example.
This is mine. So I think we've only talked about this one other time. So it really stood out to me. Yeah. Because we don't talk about budget that often. So I have went on tangents and rants about this during when we talk about our fantasy episodes, where I have to make a grimoire for a script I'm reading that's like
Right.
17 pages of just like production elements, basically.
Jimmy, move your mic a little away from your face. There you go.
Okay. Can you
People
hear,
can hear how the sausage is made.
can
That's
hear
fine.
every single tooth smack?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. So
Sorry to interrupt.
no, that's good. It's like the old days when we were in person. And
I know.
Jimmy, move the microphone away from your face. The number of times
I said that.
so that should have gone on the OG bingo card.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, in contrast to that, where there's like, you know, the world window is so massive, this is a great example of, Jamie, I didn't put it on here, but it's like the idea of the big world, small window in the off-screen movie, right? Like the One Wish Willow research that he does, and the insinuation that there's just endless people that have
doing
experienced this creates this sense of a huge world. But they chose a window that's so small, there's only a few locations and a few people within the window that we're seeing. And I think that's the stroke of genius with this script. So I broke it down like a producer. This is one of my, get ready, either tune out or fast forward, because this is one of my many book reports this episode. Okay, so I broke it down like a producer, because I have produced, and this is what we do.
I can vouch.
We don't talk about it much, but I have produced 7 feature films, and I'm the one breaking down all the elements. Yeah.
Can I just say to the people listening, you've never seen a Jimmy George binder for a film, like a Bible for a film, but let me tell you, it is the most organized, amazing thing I've ever seen, and it is truly a work of art within itself.
I've actually had Nolan Strauss told me he didn't have the heart to throw it away, the production designer for Call Grove Cthulhu. Thank you, Bob.
I remember when you showed it to me the first time, I was like, you did this?
It's like 350 pages.
It's a phone book.
Production elements. Yeah, it's the whole movie broken down like into like DNA.
Like, you think you do book reports on this show? No.
Okay, so this is going to speak to why this was so cheap to execute. Okay, so story calendar, and Jamie, chime in with your own experience during this book report, because I know you can speak to this. So like one thing that's very common, not just from like the scripts I'm reading from newbies, but also in my own writing and in my own experience when I've made movies. It's something I learned very quickly, because the first feature film I made, the story took place over like 30 days. And it's like, when you start, the longer your story calendar is, and that doesn't mean 30 days successively on screen, but 30 days, like the time period. What starts happening is you have every scene. Like, I'll give you an example. President's Day, which is a high school slasher, that we made in 2010. There were like 10, it was an ensemble of like 10 students. And so the story, it only took place over a week, but all 10 of those students needed 7 costumes. So right there, we had 70 costumes that we had to keep, and you're shooting out of order. And we messed up an entire shooting day because I labeled a costume with tape, because we didn't have a costume designer. I labeled a costume with tape number 3 instead of number 4. And on one of those days, we shot the whole day with the character wearing costume number 3 when they should have had 4. And it messed up the continuity for the scenes that came before and after it. Now, this was a problem created by the story calendar. Just that. So, if you've got like 30 days in your story, there's a lot of problems it creates. It creates the costume issue that I said, but it depletes the urgency. Because the shorter the calendar is, the more compressed the time is, and the more urgency we feel. So this story on screen, there are only 6 days that I tracked. And one of them is even like debatable whether it's on the same day or not. So day 1 is the opening through trivia night. Day 2 is the morning after and their work day. Day 3 is Nikki arrives at the doorstep with the dress, and then he professes that he does have feelings for her. Day 4 is the debatable one, the honeymoon montage. But I count it as its own day because they have different costumes on. Day 5 is the restaurant date and boys' night. That's all successively one day. Day 6 is Bear tries to undo the wish and the final confrontation. So for all that epic story, we got 6 days, right? So, and then like what's awesome is because the world window is so small, there's only a few locations. It's like their little world, right? Their workplace. So there's only 9 locations that I counted, and they're all like easy. It's kind of like when you're making a movie, I look at that and I'm like, that's probably 9 days, right? So each location is a day, and you tell a mini story within that location, and then you shoot the next day, and you have to, right? You'll like all the parking lot scenes outside the music door. That's one night, right? All the music store scenes, that's one day. All the bathroom scenes in his house, that's one day. Like you can easily see how the limited locations creates like limited shooting days, which creates limited budget, right? So we have Bear's house, which is kind of like one location being many locations, right? The music store interior, the music store exterior, the crystal shop, the trivia bar, Ian's house, the restaurant, the cars, and the parking lot. So that's 9 locations. And that, once again, we're talking single digits here. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
If I get a script that has 9 locations, I'm thrilled. And then the speaking roles. So we've talked in the past to how I read scripts and I'm like, this script is 200 pages. And then I break down the speaking roles and there's 80 speaking roles. And then there's like 12 featured extras. So we have like 92 people who are talking in the movie.
Only 92.
So this in comparison, so there's 9 speaking roles in the whole movie. We got the core 4, Bear, Nikki, Ian, Sarah. We got Andy Richter, which is the dad, but also the boss, Carter.
Right.
We have the 2 crystal shop clerks, the trivia host, who's kind of like off screen, and then the phone rep. So one good lesson there is sometimes if you can make one character have 2 like story roles, like Andy Richter is both the dad of Sarah and their boss. So
Right.
like he doesn't need to be one there. You don't need to add a dad. You know what I mean? So that's a really
Especially
good,
if you have Andy Richter.
yeah. He's one of my favorite. Every time he's on screen, I'm just like, I want to see more of him. And then
I just wish they killed him. That was my criticism.
you thought that there was going to be a wish
They're
against
paying
him?
for Andy Richter. Why not have a death scene? That's all I'm
true.
saying.
Maybe they thought it would take people out. So
Maybe.
we have 9 speaking roles, and then we just have 3 featured extras, which is the bartender who keeps interrupting him, and then the 2 party guests who are playing the game, the Jenga game. So that's 12 speaking roles total in the whole movie.
Yeah.
That speaks to how little salary there was for actors, right? And then when you think about it like that way, so that's 12 costumes max. And then since I said 6 days, like you can start doing the math. If there's 6 days, one of my favorite costumes there is the music store uniform. It's just like a smock.
Yeah.
So they could just like, for like a lot of the days, the actors could have just come to set in like jeans and a shirt, and they just put that like striped uniform on top of them, and there's your costume for like multiple days of shooting, right? Like the parking lot day, we're set.
Right.
The inside of the music door, we're set. So and then props, we got like only a handful of highlighted props. We got the One Wish Willow and the many replications of that. We got the crystals, we got the tiger's eye, we got the tuba case, we got the pill bottles, the revolver, the lunchbox, the lunch inside, and Sarah's acceptance letters. It's like
dead cat.
The dead cat I consider an effect, which I'm going to next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the effects. This is all we got for effects. We got the blood and makeup wounds. We got the tattoos. We got 2 gunshots. We got the dead cat, the cat sandwich, the bloody acceptance letter, the bottle to the head, Sarah's kill, Sarah's corpse, and that's it. Like I could rattle off all the effects in that movie in like 45 seconds, you know? Like,
Yeah.
So it's not a lot. And so it's just, I think this movie is a great example, like write what you have. And what I mean by that is it's really easy to get a dude's house. It's really easy to get a bar comparatively, compared to back rooms where they made a 30,000 square foot set that the actors and the crew are getting lost in.
Right.
So, and a lot of the scenes, if you notice, there's static shots. It's like 2 people sitting and the camera's just sitting with 2 shots. Like it's kind of incredible how simple it is, but the concept is not simple. You know, it's like it's very cool and unique supernatural concept that they were able to take and use these domestic settings to make it. So it's just
Kind of like an early Kevin Smith horror movie.
Yes,
you know?
it feels like, it reminded me, it's like
Yeah.
Clerks, right? Like Write What
Right.
You Have that's probably the last time we talked about this, Bob. Was the
Oh, yeah,
Clerks,
no,
Write What
yeah.
You Have. So if
Right.
you're out there and you're trying to come up with like, what could I do that I like? If you have these things, like a 5 or 6 locations that you can get that are like this, is there a milk and cereal version of that, you know, where you could take advantage of these with a cool concept that makes it cheap to shoot? So
I mean, milk and cereal happens pretty much in a garage in a house.
So okay, I haven't seen it. So
same-
there you go.
yeah,
It is literal, Write What You Have. Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But cereal and milk is a big budget.
As opposed to cereal and milk.
Yeah.
It takes place in a milk dimension that they all float
That's right.
around in.
There's vats of milk.
And sentient cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10-pound
Okay.
bags of marshmallows.
It's actually
pits.
like a Avengers style team up where the
Right.
Fruit Loops guy and Captain Crunch and all have to go on a quest. It's pretty good.
No matter how much you say this stuff, though, you'll always have the friend or the, as in your cases, like your students or your clients say, you know, I wrote the next Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know,
and
no
there's
matter what,
value in
that's
that. I mean,
fine,
I'm
you
not,
can
I'm not
do
trying
that,
to
but-
take away. And I write fucking huge scripts that everyone tells
Right.
me I need to trim down. But you
Right.
know, anyway, 12 speaking roles, 9 locations, 6 story days, 10 hero props. Like we're talking single digits on nearly every one of these list items. So it's really awesome.
As much as I love Backrooms, this is the YouTuber
Yeah.
movie.
Right.
You know?
It's,
Like for these reasons, everything
it
you're
sounds
saying.
like
Yeah.
the production Bible made by a YouTuber.
Right. Yeah.
What are we doing in the kitchen today?
So do you mind if I do a quick audible, by the way? Because
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to talk about, he's talked a lot about his writing process, and I didn't
Okay.
bring this up. This was
Awesome.
the thing I forgot in my notes when I finally found them. So some of these might step on things we talk about later. So I'll go
Okay.
through them quick, and then we can kind of reference them later on. They
Okay.
mostly step on things I'm going to talk
Perfect.
about. So where did these come from? The things I'm about to say. There was a Final Draft article out there you can check out online on the Final Draft website, and he talks a lot about his writing there. But he also did an interview on Script Notes, John August and Craig Mazin, like a week or 2 ago. So you can check that out too. So I'm just going to run through a bunch of things I kind of scribbled based on these things. So number one, he said he doesn't start with horror. He starts with a relatable human problem. And, you know, the interesting thing is John and Craig really push that this is really a rom-com in some ways, in a twisted sense. And I'll talk about that when we talk about my favorite topic genre in a minute, but just I'll plug that right now. He also says he writes from emotion before mythology. So he doesn't begin with what are the rules. He kind of says, you know, what's the emotion?
Lore of One Wish Willow?
Yeah, exactly. Like he doesn't care that much about that kind of stuff. His dialogue philosophy is basically never let people say what they mean. So the subtext, the off the nose dialogue. He basically says his scenes are centered by putting an elephant in the room and like never mentioning it, but making the scene about that is how he writes his dialogue. Here's one that I really wanted to just talk about super briefly because I've been talking about this online on my X account lately. He thinks tension belongs in the screenplay, not just directing. So most writers kind of talk about finding tension, or directors, they talk about finding tension in editing. He doesn't. He literally writes in pauses, silence, beats, all that stuff. He wants the script to kind of feel like the edit of the movie would feel like.
To your point, Jamie, I just
yeah.
later in the show we're going to talk about the script,
Okay.
and it struck me how many times there was the tension fills the air, the silence, but like romanticizing silent tension on the page was
Yep.
common, frequent.
Yeah.
So
And
to your point,
I personally think that kind of stuff is very important. I do a lot of that myself. I think there's a balance. I think it can be overdone. I think there can be a lot of actor direction and stuff like that that gets in the way. But I think to completely ignore it or go the other way is also a big mistake that some writers do. I said this the other day on X that I've been reading a lot of scripts now that say something like, and then her head explodes. Interior house day. And they write the big thing like it's just
Mechanical.
like a grocery list.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if I'm reading past, I might even skim it. I'll be like, and then the head explodes. Because I'm like, they didn't put it in all caps. They didn't say, and then fucking, and if I'm writing it, at least I'd put a fucking in there or something.
Yeah,
Like, and then that fucking
all
explodes.
caps, 3 exclamation points.
But anyway, so I think tension and this kind of stuff is also related to that as well. Like you can underplay tension. Like you can sometimes you might write all the dialogue just as dialogue and be like, I'm going to leave it up to the actors. But when the reader reads it, maybe they don't realize it's a tension scene because there is no, the tension fills the room, the silence. He shuffles his feet or whatever you might say. So anyway, related to this, he kind of said he writes as an editor. When he's writing, he has the edit in his head. I'd say that's something I like to do as well. I'm constantly thinking of the edit or thinking of the movie. I think that's a good way to write. Yeah. He hates giant character biographies. So he's not into backstories. He hates large backstories. That's just something. Now, I'd say different stories need different backstories. It's just, I'd say this is the type of story he likes to tell. But there are some stories that you just have to have a backstory. But that's something he mentioned. He likes to trust the audience. The movie doesn't stop every 10 minutes to explain the mythology, the rules, the motivation. So what this means, he'll never work for Netflix, according to Matt Damon.
He can't fold laundry during his movies.
That's right. He says comedy. He says comedy taught him horror. And I think this is something I definitely believe in. But there's a darkness.
I mean, we're seeing it happen.
Yeah,
we're seeing all these comedy people.
Jordan Peele, Zach Kreger. Who are the Filippo brothers? Is that who those guys?
Philippou brothers.
Philippou brothers. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing it all over the place. And he says YouTube taught him pacing. He was talking about with John and Craig. He said that's really what shaped his kind of, and I think that's why he executes so well. It's because I think he got good at the YouTube pacing and he has years of experience keeping people entertained in small bites. He thinks in POV. This was something I heard him talk about. So, and another thing that I'm almost like, I might do it too much or teach it too much because I see people do other things, but I think it helps to think in POV, and if you break it, have a good reason. So if the character doesn't see it, then the audience probably shouldn't see it either, is basically what he's saying. If the character doesn't know something, the audience probably shouldn't know something as well. But again, there's dramatic irony and superior position and stuff we talk about all the time. And the only other thing I'd mention is I think at the end of that podcast, he kind of said, because I don't think he's written a ton of screenplays in his life. He's learning. He's a new screenwriter, basically. He's written YouTube videos and things like that. But as far as feature goes, and he did mention, he's checked out Save the Cat and other things like that at the end of the podcast. He kind of rolled right through that. And John and Craig didn't bring it up like, that sucks. So,
which is surprising.
Yeah.
Don't read Jamie's book.
Yeah, do not. Yeah, there's three really bad ones that I never read.
He kind of lumped it together with, I read Hero's Journey and Save the Cat and all that stuff, but that's kind of how I did it.
Well, to his credit, it looked like the format was right, and
You mean the actual
script?
Yeah,
it's written like a director wrote it, but it still reads like a script. I mean, it's not like what the hell am I looking at here?
Yes. So that is everything you need to know about Curry Barker's writing process, writing tastes.
Let's talk about why here, why now, why them, stasis equals death, and irony when choosing your leads. That's a very long segment title.
Yeah, I forgot to cut out some of that. That was more for me.
Fine.
But this is mine. So when we're so why here and why now originally came from what was the memo, Jamie, that it
Yeah,
came
it was
from?
David Mamet to the unit.
To the unit, and we've talked
yeah.
about this ad nauseum, so we don't need to retread it, but I like at least saying where we got it from. And he was talking about scenes, like the way he was reading scripts from his team, from his writer's team, where every scene he was like, I feel like this scene could happen anytime at anywhere, and he was trying to challenge his team that if you could figure out why the scene had to happen at that location and at that time in the story timeline, then it would make it have built-in story DNA. And so what I found, and then what we've expanded on in this show, is that it's a perfect test for, like, it's a litmus test for the strength of your concept and your premise. Because what I found time and time again is, without even reading the script, if you just send me your log line, and it has nothing to do with the language and the wordplay of the log line, but the story itself in the log line, every note I'm going to make when I read the actual script, I could just read your log line and make like 75% of those notes, because the why here and the why now and the why them has not been workshopped enough to be perfectly constructed for story DNA, for goal, stakes, obstacles, urgency. And so I wanted to talk about, I think this is a good example of that. The why here is like a small town where Bear's whole world is like this music store and his house and this bar and this one little friend group, right? So like the concept and the story has nowhere to go. And so it's the world window is very small, which we've talked about endlessly, makes for a good movie. And the why now, like, I read scripts all the time where the why now, I'm reading a script and there's too much lead in time to the premise kicking in. So we're coming in too soon, or we come in too late. The premise kicks into gear like page 2, and like we don't know enough about the character's life before for any of it to matter. So you got to figure out, like, when in my characters and in my story world's timeline is the perfect time to enter, to introduce us to it and to make this story happen to them. And so why now? Bear's at rock bottom. His grandma died. His cat just died. He's been in love with Nikki for years, and she just shut him down once again, like when he's dropping her off, at the bar. And he's hit maximum loneliness before he grabs that wish thing. His character is at maximum loneliness. So it's the perfect why now for the story. And then why them, oftentimes I'll read a script where the why now is good, the why here is good, but the characters are not the right fit for the premise. So I think there's a good yin and yang between Bear, who is Jimmy, what would you say Bear's stasis equals death is?
Did you just call Jamie Jimmy?
I said Jamie.
Yeah, I'll answer to Jimmy.
Jimmy.
That's fine.
What the heck?
Hey, Jimmy.
Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah.
What would his stasis equals death? I mean, honestly, if he doesn't ever ask her, he's just going to be this miserable guy who sits around and says, "I wish I asked her." So that's stasis equals death. You know, I mean, it feels like he's been stuck this way for a long time.
Because I was circling around like that to a more core, like something like authenticity. He's lying to everybody, you know.
He's also like a weak-willed little twerp,
yes,
you know?
Weasel, as you said.
Yeah, he's a little weasel, like abusive little, whatever. But I think the audience feels that too, Jamie. Like, I don't know. Every time I saw this in the theater, the groan that happens when he doesn't take that one opportunity where she asks him in the car, It's huge. It's like everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh, like
Yeah.
literally the other night, somebody like literally almost like threw their drink on the floor. They were so mad, you know.
So we're
Mhm.
we're all feeling that, whatever
Yeah,
that is, we're feeling that, and that's in the construction. And then, on her end, she like wants real honest love. She talks about it in the car with him,
yep.
so you have this contrast, and it makes for the perfect, like, it's gonna be Bear's dream scenario for this to happen that ends up being his nightmare, and for Nikki it's going to be her worst nightmare scenario, so that alone makes for a really interesting why them. So yeah, I think this is a good example of thinking about why here, why now, why them when you're coming up with your concept. Yeah.
It's good. Well, that leads us to Jamie's favorite thing in the world, which is to save the cat genres.
Yeah, I just decided to just put this on so
Yeah,
I could
when I
do the
saw
thing.
it on here,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I mean, it's
Yeah.
There goes Jamie having his own little fun again.
Yeah, yeah. That's the only reason I put it on, and then we'll move on. So, save the cat genres. If you've never heard of this concept and you've listened to the podcast so far, I got a new thing for you. It's called Save the Cat genres. Yeah. So save the cat genres are a thing Blake Snyder came up with, and they're basically 10 story types or story patterns that almost all stories fall into. And like I always say, he did a great job because somebody's always trying to poke at these things. I've never really thought of, we missed this one genre, or I found a movie that's unclassifiable. He really did a good job. I give him credit for the 10 story genres because he did a good job. Now, sometimes there's a combo of genres, but never have I found one that like there's some new genre. It's the person in a bathroom genre or something, some weird thing. So anyway, the story patterns, his 10 story patterns. There's Golden Fleece, which are a road trip kind of to achieve a goal. And the road could either be a true road, like, I don't know, National Lampoon's Vacation or Lord of the Rings or something like that to achieve a goal. Or it could be a road like a season, like most sports movies like Hoosiers or Major League or something like that. Monster in the House, the book I wrote, which this movie falls into to an extent. It's most of your horror movies. There's a monster. There's a house that the hero's trapped in with the monster, and there's a sin that brings about the monster, and it's a battle for survival. Buddy love, which I'm going to talk about in a second, or most of your buddy stories, or they could be romance, or it could be something like Step Brothers, or it could be something like buddy cop movie or something like that. So anyway, there's a bunch of these story patterns. There's 10 of them. I'll leave you at that. If you want to know anything more about these, listen to any episode. I repeat this ad nauseum every time, and probably do a much better job. But why do I want to bring this up today? Why do I want to talk about this today? The reason I want to bring this up today is because one of the things I talk about in Save the Cat Writes Horror is it's a quote from Jason Blum, or I'm going to paraphrase Jason Blum's quote. Jason Blum, I think, when they did Get Out, he said, well, the reason Get Out works is because if you take out the monster, the movie still works. That's kind of what he says. I don't really buy that. I mean, maybe it works. You'd have to show me what the twists and turns are without the monster in Get Out. But basically what he says is, or maybe this is my interpretation of it, I think I quoted this somewhere, but I can't remember where the quote exactly comes from, is most horror movies are some indie drama that gets hijacked by the horror movie at some point. And I think this movie is successful. And I think this is why maybe Jimmy's wife was interested in this movie, because this movie skews closer in some ways to the non-horror movie, but it is a horror movie and gets hijacked in some ways. And the new thing that I've been telling people to do, and I think I've done this on this podcast, is not only should you think of this indie movie so if you're coming up with a horror movie, come up with the indie movie too. Say, what's the indie movie, the indie drama or indie comedy that then gets hijacked by the horror movie, and kind of conceptualize that movie, and then think it gets hijacked at some point by this
It's usually,
movie.
if you watch horror movie trailers, that the first part's the normal
Yeah.
movie, and then
That's a great observation. That's a really good
like
observation.
like Hostel, they're on a
Yeah.
they're going overseas to have their trip, and then all of a sudden they get
Yeah, no, that's a great observation. I'm going to steal that from you from now on, because I think that is a great
please,
observation.
I'm honored for you to steal anything from me.
Yeah. So in this movie, you could see it like Bear could never admit his feelings. And I'm doing the 80s version of it. Until one night he made a wish. I don't know. So the thing I've been telling students, at least Save the Cat students and Save the Cat stuff, is one thing that might help you is to figure out the genre of the indie drama that might get hijacked by the Monster in the House movie or the horror movie.
And by genre, you mean the genre pattern, the Save the Cat
genre, right?
Yeah.
Save the Cat genre. I think it can help you because it just gives you more information. It can kind of focus you to figure it out. And this movie, there's really two you could look at that it does. And the reason is because this movie ultimately is an out of the bottle movie, is what it is. So out of the bottle in Save the Cat, and it's not something we see as often anymore in movies. Like when Blake wrote his book, there were a whole bunch of out of the bottles. There's like Bruce Almighty, and there was Freaky Friday, and there was all these Click, things like that. And there were all these movies where somebody makes a wish, or somebody opens a magic bottle, or something, something, some magic happens and a wish is granted. And the elements of out of the bottle stories are, and by the way, curse stories fall into out of the bottle stories as well.
Right.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but there's a wish. The hero wants something they believe will solve their problems. Okay. And they have a wish. So in Obsession, Bear wants Nikki, he wants her love. He wants her to love him more than anybody else in the world. So that's his wish. Then there's a spell. The wish is granted by some magical rules make that wish granted. And the fantasy becomes reality. And then there's usually rules around the spell and things like that. And in all these movies, there's some kind of rules and how to break out of it, how to fix it, all that stuff. And then last but not least, there's a lesson. Out of every out of the bottle story, ultimately asks the hero to learn a lesson. And it's usually life was better the way it was, or I shouldn't have made that wish, or whatever.
Appreciate what you have, or
appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
Now, as we talk about in tragedies, and I think this is what happens in this movie, if they don't learn the lesson, they'll pay the ultimate price. If they double down on their wish, or they do whatever, they ignore the warning signs, they usually will die or something. I don't know about die, but horrible things will happen to them. So anyway, this is, on one hand, this is an out of the bottle story gone wrong with a tragedy kind of thing, that where the wish kind of turns somebody into a monster. On the flip side, I think this whole thing, what movie gets interrupted by the other movie, works outside of the Monster in the House movie. I think if this were a pure wish movie, I think you could ask the same question. Like, let's say that it ended positive somehow. I don't know how this movie would end positive.
Yeah.
But let's say it was more the rom-com version of it. Maybe his wish wasn't as drastic. Maybe it was something slightly different. But he learned a lesson and everything came together and he fell in love or something. That would still be another movie interrupted by the wish. So I think it's really useful to think of that when you're telling a story, it's usually one story that gets interrupted by some other story, whether it's magic or a villain or something like that, and then hijacked and twisted in another way. Unless you're writing a rite of passage story, and then pretty much it's just that story. But almost any other genre, there's usually a story that comes before it and a story that comes after it. So you almost should look at two different genres or two different stories that kind of smash together and taste great together.
Cool. I would have guessed Monster in the House. Well, look at this.
Well, no, you know what? Immediately, two out of the bottle movies that come to mind, Jamie, that this thing is like playing with is Love Potion #9 and Big, which are both
Yeah,
out of the
Big.
bottle
Yep.
movies, right? Yeah. So
Yep,
there you
yep.
go. Yeah.
And Bob, it is Monster in the House. So
I
my
know it
view,
can be more than one.
right? But
Yeah.
my view of Monster in the House is every horror movie becomes a monster in the house at some point in the movie.
Ah,
Right.
And this one becomes a monster in the house usually toward the midpoint or the back end. Sinners, it doesn't really become a monster in the house to the last third of the movie, right?
yeah.
Even to an extent, Backrooms and things like that. My direction with Monster in the House is that all horror movies are monster in the house movies at some point.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah,
if there's never a monster in the house movie there, then it probably isn't a horror movie. Like, and that's why like Hotel Transylvania has horror trappings, but isn't a horror movie.
Yeah, I gotcha.
right.
Or something. Or even like what's the one with the vampire I don't know, wars, the vampire battles. Kate
Underworld?
Beckinsale. Yeah, Underworld. Like that's not really a horror movie. That's an action movie with vampires.
It's
Vampires
superhero
and
movie,
werewolves.
basically.
It never really becomes monster in the house. It becomes something else. It becomes superhero or something like that. But yeah, so that's my and as we see more and more horror movies outside of like something like Ready or Not are slow burn movies, we're pushing the monster in the house elements back toward midpoint, all is lost, break into 3 territory.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'd also argue there's 2 monsters in this house. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
For
yes.
sure.
Okay, double bump catalyst.
Yeah, I just wanted to point this out because we don't see it that often, or maybe we should. And this relates to the genre part. So in Save the
Right.
Cat, there are 15 beats. They're one of them is the catalyst. The catalyst usually happens around page 12. This one actually, the first bump happens around 10 to 12, I think. I wasn't measuring in the movie, but I think so. And it's usually the moment where the story starts to get hijacked. That's what usually happens. Like, so if it's the indie rom-com and it starts to get hijacked into a Wish movie or just a different sort of rom-com movie, or if it starts to get hijacked from the spell, from the magic, from something like that, that's usually what happens at around page 12. So there's a couple things here, the double bump. The first bump, in my opinion, and this might be a little overanalyzing the double bump, but when I was watching, I was like, this movie really needs 2 bumps in it. And the first bump is when she says she's quitting the job and he's going to lose his window with her.
Right.
That's and speaking to Jimmy's why now, that's a big why now.
That's the why now.
Yeah.
It adds a clock, right?
It adds a clock. It adds a ticking clock right from that moment. And because of that, he ends up in that store, and he, also because she lost her necklace or whatever it was. It was a necklace.
Crystal
Something.
necklace. Yep.
Crystal necklace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ends up in the store, and he's already thinking he needs something. So he grabs this wish thing. And then the second bump of the catalyst is when he has that encounter with her. He doesn't do the thing.
Yeah.
So as almost his last hope, he breaks this stupid wish thing. Like, it's because he has no other hope. So it is a double bump catalyst. It has two bumps. The one advantage I'd say you get if you have a double bump catalyst is you get more time for the second bump. Like if you're really like a purist like me and is trying to get your catalyst in on page 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that frame, your second bump could technically come at 15, 16, because as long as, this is my thing about Save the Cat beats, as long as you do too much, you're okay. It's when you do too little that you get hurt. So if you save your catalyst to page 30, your story could get a little boring or slow paced. But if you have 2 of them, it's always going to be fast paced because things are happening. Things are being triggered. And really that's what Save the Cat beats and those numbers are about. It's you want things to be happening.
Jamie, I know.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay. Jamie, I know it's coming up later on your list, but I wonder if there's something to, as you're continuing to develop, for listeners who don't know, Jamie's been workshopping this B story beat sheet that's specific to the B story. And I remember I'm starting to notice that when we talk about like rom-coms, even though this isn't a rom-com, but to the script notes episode's point, maybe it does follow some of those story beats. There's double bump catalysts. Like when we did the last time I remember talking about a double bump catalyst was 10 Things I Hate About You. So I wonder if there's something to that, because often those stories are like two-handers, right? So you're kind of like, it's two people's trajectories that are like really setting things into motion.
You're saying each bump is setting those two things in motion.
Yes, those two characters on a collision course,
Right.
So I wonder if, as you keep going and developing this, if you'll find that part of the B story recipe is a double bump catalyst, like the romantic, story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, it could be. It's really interesting. I didn't do the breakdown, the B story breakdown that I've been doing sometimes.
Yeah.
But all of the things are there in this. They take a dark turn.
I noticed some of your codes later on the list, which is why I mentioned it now.
Because it's funny even, and there's only one that I'm going to mention in a bit, but the codes kind of, the one that also pops in that I didn't mention is usually there's like a moment where they kind of reveal themselves. They give inner confessions or something like that. And that happens around the midpoint of this movie. But when it happens, it's kind of for dark reasons.
Yes,
as opposed to
a tragedy. Yes,
because it's a tragedy. So when they finally get to the point of confessionals, when most couples would be getting closer together and tied, it's more that's when Bear becomes almost the villain.
He's like, it's not real. Yeah,
I wouldn't add almost in there.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yep. So. Yeah, but it definitely hits all the beats of the rom-com B story.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it has the race to the airport kind of thing in some ways. I like in the end, he is so like at the end he's trying to get out of it, as opposed to like most rom-coms, and I think that's the tragic side of it, is usually a rom-com has them doing anything they can to save the relationship. But in this movie, and this is where the monster movie finally hijacks the movie, he's doing anything he can to break up the relationship, to get out of the relationship, because that's the only way he can survive.
He's racing to the airport to get out of it.
Yeah, that's when the movie's fully hijacked into a monster in the house.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't.
Interesting.
He's not a character that likes consequences of his.
No.
Yes.
We can talk about how we read the ending, but we'll save it a bit. Let's talk about it's perfect to talk about the rooting resume right now, right?
Yeah. So
if we bring him up,
the thing about him, there is a this movie, as we've talked about, he's kind of an unlikable guy. It's not on the level of Joker or something that we've talked about, because he's kind of relatable. Like, we're all kind of unlikable guys in some ways, discounting the back end of this movie. But even so, like, a lot of times you'll get notes on characters like this, like, why should I root for this guy? Or he's got, give him some agency and stuff. But honestly, what they're doing is they're checking a lot of the rooting resume boxes off in the setup. They're doing because I think Curry Barker read my book and he just checked it.
That's right. Well, even though script notes told him not to.
So
this would be a good time to mention what the studio asked him to do, which was to make Bear more likable. From the get-go, and and he said no right off the bat. And I think the reason he said no was he's trying to say something with Bear. And if you change that, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. But I do feel like he does the rooting resume checklist very hard in the beginning. So here are just some of the things. So here are some of the rooting resume things. He's an underdog. Okay. Bear is shy. He's awkward. He's lonely. He's stuck in a dead end job. His life isn't moving forward. He spent years carrying a torch for someone who may never feel the same. Okay.
Yeah.
He feels invisible, right? And that's the
Mhm.
things that needs fixing.
Things that need fixing. He is
Okay.
definitely invisible to Nikki in the way that he wants to be seen.
Right.
Yeah.
So the second thing, he cares about someone. Obviously, he cares about Nikki. He seems like he's an okay friend, I think.
But I think what's interesting is he cares about her in a way that doesn't feel good to us.
Yeah, he's
And
well.
that-
I mean, it's the title, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not about her being obsessed. Like, he views her as as just an idea.
Wait till we get to the
No, we'll
changes
get to it. We
in
will
the
get to it.
drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think women would read the rooting resume from the beginning a lot different than like, dudes.
Well,
and I've seen a lot of discussion about
Which
that.
is what my wife did, right? She was
I'm
like,
sure. I would love to know Jill's opinion on that stuff.
I didn't feel like at the beginning he totally was a horrible.
No,
I
no.
agree.
No.
And I think that's
Like, but
intentional. They're
It's
playing
but
with
there
our
is
expectations.
perceptions that are very minute, different on what's happening in that first scene.
It made me think, Jamie, to your Save the Cat Writes Horror points. It made me think of that book you mentioned when we first talked about Barbarian, and it was a guy wrote a book on red flags about human beings.
Yeah,
And I was like, this guy is coming across as having a rooting resume, but there's red flags right underneath the surface about that rooting resume we're being introduced to, right?
But I would actually say I'd say a lot of that's in retrospect, because to Bob's point, there's a reason the whole audience groaned when he didn't ask her.
Yeah, because they care.
If they thought, "Ooh, he's gross," they would have been like, "Phew."
No, you're right.
I wasn't saying that that I think Curry Barker's like walking a razor's edge before the witch is made. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like it's he's doing exactly what we're talking about traditionally with the rooting resume, but there's also things implanted in the beginning that
for sure
people notice, like how they both ignore and like cut off the waitress's like suggestions instantly. They don't listen to women. The way the two of them interact, the two dudes interact with each other, how he talks about her in a very obsessive tone where he doesn't seem to have an emotional connection. It's more of a pedestal type of thing,
right.
Like, you can argue on paper he's doing the rooting resume, but there's just slight twinges of difference.
Yeah,
that's
but
all I'm saying.
Again,
women are picking it up.
I think some women may pick them up, but he's setting up for that groan.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Definitely.
So, and he's doing it. So some of the other ones, he has a goal. His goal is to love Nikki. Others believe in him. So you have Sarah, who kind of thinks he's the right guy. So she vouches for him, and she seems like a normal person. We know his struggles. So his grandma's dead. The movie spends considerable time kind of letting us sit with his pain. His cat dies.
His cat dies. Like he couldn't save the cat.
Save the cat.
That's a red flag.
He has things that a lot of people have, like insecurity and inability to express himself, fear of rejection.
Have you guys? It's just a theory, but have you guys seen the thing that the reason that pill bottle was out is because he had tried to hurt himself prior to that, and that's why the bottle was there. Ended up killing his cat, trying to hurt himself.
It's terrible to laugh at.
It's not that. No, I mean it's I'm
not
laughing,
funny, but it's not funny.
You're laughing because of the script idea, not
because of the
script.
Yes,
the reality of that. Yeah,
the reality of that. Yeah, it's not.
So he and last but not least, he's a lot like us in some ways, in that the crush who feels out of your league. It's a thing that's happened to many of us. Fear of rejection, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of familiar emotions that he's giving this underdog character very early on, and he hits several of them. He hits basically all of them, like in succession, even to the point of the dead cat and dead grandma and all that other stuff.
You know which one, Jamie, now that I'm looking at this, you know which one he subverts? He does the inverse, like we talk about villains. We've talked about in the past, your rooting resume here.
Which one?
A villain will have all the positives, and then it'll swap one of them towards the downside. And that is, they try very hard to make their lives better. That's his problem, that he doesn't do that,
right.
So it's
he has
very
the inability to
interesting.
do it.
He's the opposite on that one key thing in the rooting resume. So that's very interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
Also, I would say that this kind of happens a little bit, just a slight bit after the wish, but he's not very intelligent.
No.
And that's like I know that's not.
I'm
a reading
laughing
resume
because
thing,
like
but
while I was watching it, I was like, this guy's pretty fucking dumb.
he's a really
he
big.
is.
Not only is he a sniveling little weasel, but he's also a stupid idiot.
Yeah.
He's an awful human being and a moron. But yeah. Are we just talking about his reading resume, or we
Yeah.
talking about-
That's because
yeah.
it's usually the protagonist that gets
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
reading
yeah,
resume.
right. And then go into the heel turn in the hands of a madman.
Yeah. So to me, in most horror movies, or I think in all horror movies, there should be what I call the in the hands of a madman moment, which basically says this director is willing to go to places they probably shouldn't go, and they're not scared. They're just going to go in the direction. And in my opinion, that happens in this movie when that confessional scene happens kind of in the restaurant. He realizes the wish is real and he doubles down on it.
He does.
And
And
then
he
there's
keeps doubling down.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and there's just because it's at that point you're expecting any good character, any ethical character to try to find a way to help Nikki or something like, something like that. But instead it's like, cool, and he just goes with it. And I think that's the in the hands of a madman moment in this movie. That was the moment to me where I was like, damn, they're going there kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just like,
And then
boom.
there's like 2 or 3 moments after that's like
Yes.
the same moment, but up the
Yes.
ante. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
And
like the call and then the dream speaking.
Yep.
I feel like those 2 moments where he's like, I don't want to change. I don't want to cancel the wish. I just want to alter it. Like
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
and to me, that's it. It also does the thing we saw in Backrooms. It does a heel turn. It basically turns the hero we've been following into kind of a monster of sorts.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
and-
They both do
yeah.
it.
And
both,
while I say of sorts, the reason it's not a pure monster in this is it's not like Nikki becomes the protagonist at this
Mhm.
point.
Yeah.
Right.
He's still the protagonist. It's just now we're following a horrible person. We're not necessarily rooting for it. We're rooting against him in some ways. At
We
this
find
point.
out we were
Yeah.
following.
You-
He tricked
yes,
us.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like the protagonist tricked us.
That's
you
right.
know?
Yes.
right. And
Yeah.
it's a heel turn moment, and it throws our expectations off for a movie. It breaks the rules of movie making in the best of ways. And it's the reason why I always say that it's not Save the Cat that makes things predictable. It's how you choose your beats, right?
Yep.
How do you choose? And here they're choosing some weird thing that's kind of unpredictable and throws us off. But honestly, this movie hits the Save the Cat beats perfectly, almost. I think if I tracked it, and it nails all of them.
He read your book.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but it doesn't feel like a predictable movie.
no.
It feels like an unpredictable movie that could go in any direction, as we see in the end when money rains from the ceiling. So
And there's a very obvious, predictable movie that could have happened here,
yes.
right? Like, yeah,
absolutely. Imagine a studio getting a hold of this one.
it would be forgotten in a
yeah.
month. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, brings us to the almost had it all moment.
Yeah. So this is the thing Jimmy mentioned. That's one of the standard rom-com beats. I found this just to be a standard beat. That's why I think I'm banging the drum on it. It's just, to me, I pencil it in as another beat, almost like how Dark Knight of the Soul follows the All Is Lost. The almost had it all moment seems to always prelude. That's the wrong word. Precede the All Is Lost moment. And basically it's just a moment where things look like there's going to be a big victory. And even though we kind of know it's not going to happen because we've seen this beat so many times before, but in a rom-com, it's like when the romance is at the top level and then the next beat, they break up, something shatters them. In this one, it's the car moment when he's with Sarah, and they're in the car and they're just kind of, he's having almost like a real relationship as opposed to a fake relationship to an extent. And it just seems like things are more peaceful. And then of course, Nikki breaks in and smashes her head. And,
Right,
and
right.
that's the All Is Lost, because that's when we get to the the murder side of the story, the monster, the true monster side of the story, where this thing's going to cost people their lives. And that's the next scene, the whiff of death.
Mhm.
I like that you call it a thing, because it's like a new being was created.
Yeah.
You know, it's not hers, so it's something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
It has its. I know we're not talking about that, but it does have its own free will.
Yes.
Like because it wouldn't be able to make a wish if it wasn't existing.
I wonder how much he thought about that whole thing.
He only said it's not a demon. That's all he really kind of said.
Yeah, because there's part of me that's like, I kind of checked my brain on those.
Sure, it doesn't really
totally,
matter,
and
right.
you don't need to.
Because and thank God it didn't go to the end where he was like exorcising the demon or something, or the monster. He was talking to it, and it was like, I'm not Nicky or something. You know, I'm like,
he specifically said no demons on the press tour, I guess, because so many people were assuming she was replaced by a demon or something.
It wasn't on my. I'm looking at the book I was going to break out for this. It wasn't on my talking points, but I almost put it on because it's speaking to like premise with a new paint. Like it's delivering on demon possession movie expectations with this specific premise paint.
It's so even referencing The Exorcist.
Yeah, people are recognizing those tropes, but it's doing it so fresh that people are like, well, this is a demon movie, right? Like, so yeah. Jamie, before we move on, there was something I wanted to ask you that you didn't put on the talking points, but as I was watching the movie, it made me think of something recently, but I couldn't remember which place on the beats it was. You said the perfect way to know if you've done your job at this one beat is when the character literally says, I wish I never did the thing that set the story in. Okay, so I wish I never did the thing that set the story into motion. And when I watched this movie, I was like, there it is.
You mean when he wishes?
Yeah, he's literally like, he wants to undo it. You know?
Finally, yeah.
Usually when I talk to students or clients that really can't understand the Dark Night of the Soul, and it's actually strange to me that people don't, because that seems like the easiest beat. I'm like, have the all is lost happen, then how are they feeling? That's what you need to lean into.
Okay, you know what? To your point, in case there are listeners out there who don't even understand these basic beats, do you want to kind of explain that? Yeah, sure.
So the all is lost beat is the worst thing that can happen. It usually happens about the 75% mark
there
of
you
your
go.
Story. It's usually a mentor dies, the romance breaks up, things like that. It's usually the worst thing that could happen. And there's usually this lull period called the Dark Night of the Soul. And the Dark Night of the Soul is a very character arc kind of moment where the hero has this agony in the garden kind of feel, but when people don't understand, when they come to me and they're like, I'm having trouble with this Dark Night of the Soul, or they skip it and just go to the finale, like that happens.
That happens a lot.
And there's a reason that happens, which let me bookmark and I'll talk about that in a second. But the Dark Night of the Soul, a lot of times what I say to them is just imagine if your hero has to say, I wish this never happened. Your all is lost has to trigger that emotion. I wish I never went on this quest. I wish I never met you. I wish I never. That your all is lost has to trigger that kind of emotion to create a Dark Night of the Soul, or otherwise your all is lost isn't good enough. It's not strong enough. It's not impactful enough. And what I was going to say was, a lot of times when it's all is lost to the finale, like people that aren't save the cat nuts or don't dive into structure like I do, I'll have this problem with co-writers sometimes who just kind of seat of their pants. They'll create an all is lost when immediately flows into the finale. So there's no breathing room to have a Dark Night of the Soul. It's like, imagine if Nicky killed Sarah and then came after a bear to kill him or something, right? There's no time for Bear to go, oh, I wish this never happened or something. And you almost have to.
I mean, if he didn't go to the store.
Yeah, well, I'm making
sort of that, right?
I'm making a fake movie that doesn't make sense, but I'm just saying, I'm not really using it to describe this movie. I'm just saying, like that's what happens. Like imagine if your All Is Lost just flows right into a chase sequence or something like that. That's what happens. And Backrooms actually, it found a Dark Night of the Soul because it did something a little different. It captured her, and then it had that long sequence when they were at the table for its Dark Night of the Soul, and then it went into a chase sequence. But you need to almost sit in chairs or something to have a Dark Night of the Soul. There needs to be a breather. And I've actually co-written scripts with writer. I'm trying to manufacture the Dark Night of the Soul, but the All Is Lost comes and it triggers immediately this big chase, this big finale or something, and it can be tricky to find the breather. But this movie has a breather.
Yeah, and he literally says, "I wish I never."
Yes,
yeah, he does.
it has that.
So I did my Leonardo DiCaprio meme and pointed. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember that idea, like, have your character wish they never did the whole movie.
Yeah.
They wish they never.
I wish the catalyst never happened.
I wish the catalyst never happened.
And just make sure the trigger for that is powerful enough to trigger that, and that's your All Is Lost. That's kind of the way you should think about it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Premise pretzels.
All right, this is my next book report, but I'll start it by giving Jamie another action figure pull string quote.
Okay.
Jamie, can you teach us about what premise pretzels are before I do my book report?
I feel like I always do a horrible job. I should really get it's not as good as my genre pattern. It's like every time I say it differently and every time I'm losing a piece of it when I say it. It's because I've never written premise pretzels.
Well, for what it's worth, you probably don't remember this, but at one point, Jamie and I were working on a book, and Jill actually came up with this term.
Oh, yeah.
And then we started using it so frequently that we just it became a regular thing on our vernacular. Great. But I like the way that you explain it.
Yeah, that's maybe that's why. But so premise pretzels are essentially premise-driven setup payoffs that keep paying off in different ways. That's what it is. So what does that mean? That means you have some kind of, like, in this case, it's like the wish or something like that. Or you have something that is set up and then it pays off in one way, and then it surprises you and pays off in the reverse way or something, or it goes in a different direction. And it's like you keep looking at the same conceptual thing, the setup payoff, from different angles, and you keep paying it off in different directions. That's where the pretzel part comes from. So it's like a unique setup payoff that keeps paying off, but keeps paying off in different ways that keep kind of reflecting back, moving in new directions, and keep expanding on this kind of setup payoff concept. And that's the theory part of it. But now hopefully there's some better examples.
I love the way that you put that. No, I love that, because then you put it simply, it is one setup, many payoffs. And then the reason that I like bringing this up, my favorite example that we did on the show was the Batman Returns. And it's that every setup, they're doing a whiteboard once that setup happens of how many different ways they can pay off. They're doing idea generation, right? Just throwing all these ideas at you for each little thing. Like there was a whiteboard with like 10 payoffs for the Penguin's umbrella in Batman Returns. Right. So it's one setup, many payoffs. And then how can you take an idea, like Jamie said, and just keep reusing it in new and interesting and fresh ways, and subverting it and turning it outside and keep bringing it back. For example, like in my own life and my own work, I'm working on a script right now, and there were a couple problems. And what I've started to do, because I do this with my clients so often, is instead of looking for something new to fix the problem, I look for something old that's already there. How can I bring back this thing that I've already used like 3 times and fix the problem that way? So it's a premise pretzel. Instead of just coming up with this new thing and this new dialogue and this new scene, how can I take something that's already being played with and play with it again in a new way? So I'll just go down and kind of show you all the ways. I think this movie is doing that so effectively. Okay, like you said, Jamie, the one you started using was the wish willow, the one wish willow itself, right? Bear makes a wish. There's all these scenes at the clerk talking about the off-screen movie of the wish, the research of the wish, Bear buying more wishes, the $1 billion wish, Nikki making a wish. There's like 6 different things happening just from that. The Freaky Nikki whiteboard. Ian is coaching Bear. He's like trying to get him to like use that to get her, to attract her. And then Bear tries to use the Freaky Nikki. It's super cringeworthy and super embarrassing. And then later, when she's taken over by the wish curse, like it becomes like she weaponizes it against him, right?
Right.
The tiger's eye has its own whiteboard and all the different moments with the tiger's eye. The cat, right? It dies in the opening, and we see his grief through cleaning up the cat. Then Nikki turns it into a memorial to show us how messed up she is. And then Nikki cooks it and serves it to him as a sandwich. So the
Right.
dead cat didn't just have 1 beat, it had 3 beats. The pills, it's established in the opening as the scattered on the floor as the thing that kills the cat. And then it's later stashed in the cabinet, and there's this moment of reflection where he's looking at the pills and he's looking at his reflection, and they're using it to kind of show us where he is emotionally. And then later it gets paid off in the finale as his like attempt to kill himself. So the pills has its own whiteboard. The gun in the safe whiteboard, it's planted as like conversation between Ian and Nikki, and then Nikki makes that gun death statistics line, which is like planting in our head the foreshadowing of what's going to happen. It's memorable, right? And then the revolver comes back, there's 3 more deals, and then eventually Ian gets shot with his own gun that she warned him about, right? Sarah's acceptance letters, it has its own whiteboard. There's like a scene in the beginning with her dad, and like it's how we're connecting with her character, and it's how Bear is connecting with her character because she's trying to do something, right? She has hope. She's doing something that he's not. Like she's a better self-reflection, and then later, of course, the letter is what brings him to the car. And then the letter gets bloody, and that's him reading the bloody letter that shows that she got accepted, is what they use to like show us that like things have gotten as bad as they could possibly get. And then the tuba, even the tuba, I don't know if you realize the tuba case. So there's 3 beats on the whiteboard of the tuba case. The tuba case is like highlighted in the background. I noticed this on the second one when I was doing this. The tuba case is in the background in the first music store scene. And then when she gets rejected, the first rejection letter scene, she's like leaning on the tuba case. It's like very clear. And then the tuba case becomes like how they dispose of her body.
Right.
So it's so fucked up. But like there's a whiteboard for the tuba case. And then my favorite one, which is probably not as easy to recognize, but I really noticed it. And it's not in the script. It's not described this way, but it's still sometimes direction is definitely tracks as writing for me. Like that's why we call the final edit of the movie the script, right? In the rape scene, right? Like the sex scene that's like technically a rape scene. The way it's composed is she's on the bottom and he's on the top, and she's facing the camera. And this is a moment where you can tell that the real Nikki is coming through because the character's not enjoying it. She's like stone-faced and like looks trapped, right?
Right,
in the
right.
way the sex scene, and she's feigning enjoyment, like, oh great, like she's making sounds that make it seem like she's enjoying it, but we can tell that she's not, right? She's in agony, she's trapped. In the final scene where she's all bloody and she's begging him to love her the way that she loves him, the monster version, the way it's composed is exactly the same in the shot. He's on the bottom, she's on the top, and she's like thrusting herself on him.
Yep.
And he's staring stone-faced into the camera, and he says, I love you so much, you're so beautiful, like we're gonna make this right. Like he's feigning the exact same love and enjoyment because he's trapped by her, but that's his own creation, but I just thought that was so like clever, and like it stuck out to me as it's like one of my favorite things the movie does in the end there. So, but that's
Can I
like
throw
a
another one
whiteboard.
in?
Yeah, go for it.
I would say that everything with him and Sarah, the beginning of the movie, when he does not tell Nikki about his dead cat. He does in the bar tell Sarah about his dead cat. What does she do? She touches him, pulls him closer, and gives him a hug. What happens later on at the store? She puts her head on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And the last thing, when she needs to basically tell her about how all those feelings that we saw building up, is in the car scene when she like reveals what's happening with the letter and her true feelings, and then you know what happens is that Nikki kills her.
Yeah. God,
So it's
so
like the
it's its
setup-
own little whiteboard of
it's of Sarah's
Sarah and
not only Sarah's feelings for Bear, but Bear's ignorance to what actual connection
Yes.
with a person looks like.
Yes.
Because he doesn't care. He just wants somebody that he
Yes.
holds on a pedestal and thinks of as a thing that he
Yes.
wants. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Curry Barker is doing this for sure.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if
yeah,
you're out
definitely.
there, like, and the reason I like to talk about it is because I'm reading scripts all the time from newbies, and when I'm not remediating mold from my home, and they're not doing this. Like, they're not reusing ideas. They're not doing premise pretzels. It's like, ideas are just thrown out there once and never repurposed. You're not getting 3 beats for the tuba case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's a really smart and instructive way to write. So it's really good to learn from this script in that way.
Let's talk about the not so secret weapon, or the not so secret self-destruct button.
Yes. So we only talked about this one other time, and that was the substance. Side note, same title font as Obsession, which is very interesting.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
it is the same font.
I was like, same title font, same not so secret self-destruct button. So Jamie, I'm gonna make Jamie explain this to you. You want to explain the not so secret weapon, Jamie? My favorite talking point.
Yeah, I mean it's a little like premise pretzels in that it's another specialized setup payoff.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically something that's set up somewhere earlier in the movie. Sometimes not. It doesn't seem like a weapon at all. It seems like a very innocent sort of thing, and it turns out to be the thing that can end the monster, end the curse, solve the day, win the day.
Crossing the streams.
Cross the streams. I was just said at the same time.
The oxygen tank in Jaws.
Yeah, the oxygen tank.
The loader in Alien. Yeah. And so we haven't done many tragedies since. We haven't really done many tragedies on the show in general, but we haven't done many tragedies since. But one thing, the first time we noticed this was on The Substance, that if it's a tragedy, maybe the not so secret weapon is actually a not so secret self-destruct button. Like, they think it's their solution, and we know that it's the wrong way. It's gonna be their undoing, right? Like, it's the activator in The Substance. We don't want her to take it, but she is so focused on the wrong way and hasn't learned that she doubles down, triples down, and takes it, and it leads to all the bad stuff that happens in the climax. So in this one, I found that there was like, it was like he's playing, like you said, Jamie, he's playing with the familiarity, just like he does with the beats, and he's doing something that's so intentional and zigs and zags just enough to keep us off balance for that last 10 minutes, which is the perceived not so secret weapon is Bear buys extra One Wish Willows to undo his wish. And we assume that somehow this is going to be his way out, if there is a way out, right? But then we get all these fake outs. The first fake out is Bear attempts to make another wish, but he can't snap the branch.
Right.
The second one is he goes to his friend and he says, the second fake out, he's like, I need you to just wish that, like, I never made that wish. And instead, it's a joke wish. Ian wishes for $1 billion. And it literally rains $1 billion from the sky. And then we get a third fake out, which is the pills. He's going to use the gun and he's like, you know what? Like, I don't want to experience this. I'm just going to take the pills that are waiting in the cabinet that my cat ate and died. And he takes the pills, but
tries
this
to
whole
throw 'em off.
time, the fucking the one wish willows that he bought was the secret, the not so secret self-destruct
Right.
button. And Nikki pressed that button and made that wish, and it ended in his demise. So I thought that was because it's a thematic thing, right? Right at the end, he's tried to puke. He didn't learn the lesson after all. He took the
He wanted to
pills.
live.
He tried to puke, but it's too late because he had already hit that self-destruct button. So
I love that either way that went down, he's a complete little like sniveling idiot piece of crap, just like running away from his problem. Because if he dies, he doesn't have to pay for any of the things that he did.
Yeah.
and also he doesn't want to die because he's afraid.
There's something else I noticed in this movie that I'm always noticing this. It's one of the Sam Raimi rules of horror movies. And it's one of his rules is the guilty must be punished.
The guilty must be punished.
And Ian popping in just for that scene to be punished is a good little example of the guilt. Like a lot of people think the guilty must be punished, the monster or bear in this case. That's almost to an aside. But in most horror movies, the guilty like Ian must be punished. So he gets punished in the end as well.
I brought up this, if you guys don't mind, because it's going to lead into like the last talking point.
Sure.
This portion of the script, the wish moment stays the same, and I love the way it's described. So can I just read it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's after he takes the pills. It says, suddenly, a spark ignites within him, the world snapping into focus. It's as if a spell has been cast. His eyes widen. He rises from the toilet, staring at the bathroom door with fierce determination, desperate to reach something beyond it. So I just love that little moment. It's very clearly in the script that he is under a spell. There's no denying it. And I love the clarity in that description. So,
yeah. And, a lesser writer, and again, the ones I argue with on X, might just say, they might argue something like, no, that's too much. How do we know that? You leave it to the actor, leave it to the director, and they want you to say, he looks at the door. And then some reader will read it and have no idea what that means. So
the bad version of that is he gets up off the toilet, he looks at the door, which I do like.
If you don't
Jamie,
describe the change in his facial expression, you're not writing.
Well, it's what it is there's emotional clarity there,
right?
And people are afraid for whatever reason that clarifying an emotion
on the page
is unfilmable, and I'm always pushing for emotions are performable, they are filmable, but there is a line.
There is a line. That's the thing. And the line usually goes something like, a bird flies over. No.
I did my
over an
first
alarm
script,
clock.
as we said.
Right. No,
the bird flies and shits on the alarm clock.
That's right.
Well, that goes into the power of rewriting.
Yes. So this is mine. This is our last talking point. So if you're interested, there's an old draft of this script out there. And Bob, how do you lead in the show? What do you say? With the final edit of the script. We treat the final edit
of the movie. God, how am I not forgetting now? We treat the final edit of the movie like the script. We did that for a very specific reason, because of this. Because we realized early on, I think at one point we did talk about like reading the script and discussing it, but we realized that anyone listening will never have, no one's ever going to do that, and no one's going to have access to the same one we have a lot of the time and stuff. So we decided that that's why we make that decision, because there's so many changes that happen between the process.
This
is a good example of why this show exists like it does.
And even like, for instance, like in American Beauty, the script that like got all the Oscar nominations that was sent out to everyone, there's a wraparound with like a current affair in it.
Yeah.
And he's like in pajamas. His ghost is in pajamas, like floating over the scenes in the script that they sent they sent to the Academy with for your consideration on it.
That's the Chevy Chase version.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, even like the shooting scripts that are out there are massively different sometimes than the actual movie, and that's because things change. as they film, something didn't work. I mean, and we experienced this. Jamie and Bob and I all experienced this in our own work. You get to set, you do something, it doesn't work. The room isn't right. The person isn't right. The effect isn't right. The tone isn't right. Something doesn't work. So you change it, or you cut it, or you get to the editing room.
How many times have I or other like short filmmakers I know set out to make one thing and it turns into shambles?
Yeah.
And you just sort of, because it's a short, you just sort of shoot something else, becoming a completely different beast. It didn't have much of your script in there at all, you know?
Right.
It's still a movie.
As somebody that teaches film students, there's always this thing. I teach a lot of thesis students, so they have to make one final project. And this is just a random thing.
I love it.
They show up on, like, you know, there's a couple weeks to go and their thing's a mess. And they always have this pitch. This is like the alarm clock of film students. Okay. So if you're a film student out there and you're thinking about doing this, just know that this is like the alarm clock. They come in and they say, okay, I had some problems with my shoot. So I decided to change my movie into making a movie about someone trying to make this movie. Anyway,
I've done
awesome.
so many, like, back in the day, I did so many 48 hours that were like that, Jamie. Like, it was always was the
48 hours that happens too. Yeah.
For a while, it was, I saw like several movies that were like, what about the DVD special features of the movie we didn't make? You know, like,
That's
so many movies are that.
It's like we should have a festival that's just that. We should have
bad meta movies about making movies.
That's right.
Man.
That's right.
Okay, well, so and what we found, like, for instance, my favorite one when we did this, we did this for Back to the Future. We did this for, I think we even did this for Indy 4 because it was so different. There was like there was like UFOs and stuff, more UFO. Anyway, and my favorite one was the long legs, because often what we theorize is a lot of the things that are problems in the movie, they weren't problems when the script started filming, right? They became problems because parts of the script didn't work or just got eliminated during the filming. So this draft is dated March of 2024, and they were filming at some point in 2024, this movie. So there's a lot of changes, and I wanted to talk to you guys about them. I read the script today, and I went through and I listed all the changes, and there's a lot of big ones. So let's break them down. Let's tell me what you think.
Okay.
All right. The first big one is in the early draft that we're talking about. And I want to say up front that most of this script is the same. Like, I'd say 75% of the script is word for word what's in the movie. So it's close, you know, but these things, they speak to the power of rewriting. Bear's house in the original draft, Bear just lives in a dirty bachelor pad. It's not his grandma's old house. He's not like a guy who's like living in basically a lonely, grieving house. You know what I mean? Like, he's living in a shit bachelor pad that's like nondescript.
Can I tell you that before he said the line about his grandmother, I was like, how the hell is this fucking kid at a music store affording a fucking house?
Right. So to your point, maybe they realize, well, it doesn't make sense that he would have a house to himself.
You have to give an explanation.
You have to explain. And plus it gave it more character. Then you could put those old
70s, then he's got this grief and he's alone, and
yeah, it's thematic. Okay. So the second is the original opening scene is not that opening scene. Originally, they cut right to him. He's sitting alone in that house, and he's watching a love story movie. And the character on the TV is doing a monologue about the enduring power of love. And then the camera moves down from his face, his sad face looking at that monologue, to his dead cat. And here's the big difference. The way it's described in the script, the cat has been dead for a long time. It's like melted into the carpet. And the next moment is the call from Nikki. And so they're implying, the way it's written, that he's so obsessed with Nikki that he can't even pick up his dead cat off the floor. So he's kind of like foreshadowing how she's gonna be, and it makes him really creepy to an extreme. Like
I was
right
gonna say that kind of
first
erases
scene.
it erases any rooting
Right.
that
Yeah.
existed.
Right.
Yeah.
They describe the cat's fur
Because it's
as
the
being
opposite of
so-
Save the Cat. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
care about
But
the
it's
cat
also
being
like-
dead. in some
It's
ways.
also like just demented.
This is page
Right.
one.
Yeah.
So page one ends with like this fucking cat that's so decayed it's like melted into his carpet.
That goes to show
So-
why he told the studio no, how he viewed this character.
Yeah. So
They
that's
probably read that and were like,
Honestly-
okay, we got to change that
No,
page one, right?
but-
And everybody looked around. He's
I was
like,
gonna-
no, I refuse.
Before you
my
go
art.
forward, I would just say, like, for everyone online arguing about the true nature of Bear, which I can't believe that's an argument, I feel like you just answered it definitively there, Jimmy, for anyone that would ever think how Curry Barker's viewing him.
yeah.
If he's leaving his dead cat to rot into the,
Yeah.
into the, yeah.
So like when he cleans it up, what they're doing is in the script, it's described in a way like he's finally getting around to cleaning up this cat that's been there for fucking ever. And then by the way, all the it smells like you jokes are alluding to the rotting
He
cat
smells like a dead
smell that follow, because they're all there, but it's funnier and weirder. It smells like you, like a dead fucking cat.
He smells like dead cats.
Okay, and then like the feeding him the dead cat is like even creepier, you know?
Right.
So anyway, the next thing is, so that opening scene that's in the script where they're at the diner, that scene happens after he talks to Nikki for the first time, and instead of a diner, there's no waitress, it's Bear is driving in a car, and he's performing this to Ian on the phone. And then Ian just keeps interrupting and be like, dude, nah, that's not gonna work, man. So it's like the same scene, but it happens 7 pages later, and there's no waitress to stand in for Nikki, and it's not funny. It's like very, very dark and sad. I mean, the opening scene is dark and sad, but it's very funny. I think I was laughing.
It's got like that Edgar Wright editing at the
Yeah,
opening where it
I was
reveals who
laughing
he's
really
talking
hard
to.
at the opening scene for sure.
Also, like you could
Um,
argue maybe he was thinking that was his YouTube, write
Yes,
what you
the
have.
two of them, that's what their skits are probably
Yeah,
like, right?
we-
Yeah.
Well, it's usually them in a room, but I figure he was like, this has to just be me and him. So what do I do?
Yeah.
The cheapest way
Yeah.
is on a phone. Yeah.
So think of how so we're 7 pages in. Think of how
Right.
different the movie is already.
Right.
Right? Small changes, big impacts, like to the negative, I think. The bar confession, when he's at the bar, they go to the bar. Bear asks Nikki to go to the bar with him, and he tries to take his moment there, before trivia or after trivia, I can't remember, to like finally say how he feels, and that keeps getting interrupted. That scene doesn't happen. Instead, they're just sitting at trivia, and he's just trying to finally tell everybody that his cat died, and he keeps getting interrupted by the trivia guy. But he never has this moment where he's trying to finally profess his love to her, only to be interrupted by everyone at the
By
crowd.
everyone,
Yeah. So that's not in the scene. That's not in the script at all. So the next big thing is during that drop off where they're having that, almost connection. There's a full page where Nikki's talking about what she's writing about. And she's writing about the difference between love and romance. And they have an entire scene that's like spouting back and forth about what love means compared to what romance means. And they cut that down to a single line of, it's not romance, it's a love story. And I think personally that was a good decision. It speaks to like lessons more, But what do you guys think about that?
No, that one line says it all. You don't need her to explain it at length.
It's often like the first draft thing, right? We write like a whole page of dialogue that could be said in one line.
Right.
Okay, the next one. This one I find very interesting. So after the curse is in place and they have that night where she asks him to sleep in the bed, but nothing like happens beyond that. I mean, all the weird shit happens, but you know what I mean?
Right.
And he wakes up and she's put the cat shrine out. the dialogue there is she's guilting him about this. She's actually like, her human side is like shining through way more. She's like, I found this in the trash. Like, I didn't think that was a proper way to say goodbye to your cat. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, don't you want to say a few words? Don't you want to celebrate your cat? And Bear's like, Nikki, this is weird. And she says, I'm weird. You threw your cat in the trash. This is not cool. And that is really interesting considering the curse. Like, I feel like that's shit. That was like
that feels not good. I would have taken that out too. Like,
yeah, it's like
it
they
doesn't
figured
work.
out. Like, they figured out. Oh no, she needs to be more taken. Like, there needs to be less.
There needs to be a
showing
clear
through.
separation between the two.
Yes.
It can't just be like half and half.
Like, if that was in there,
and Wish Nikki would never do that. She would never. Say
Wish
that to
Nikki
him.
wouldn't be. It was inconsistent with the monster, the curse,
the
possessor, right?
Right. Like, when she comes to, she starts screaming because she's like, "Where am I?" And she's been in pain or whatever is happening.
Yeah.
We don't know, but she's like screaming in pain otherwise, right?
Mhm.
Yes. So the next change is that One Wish Willow research he does on the internet. Instead of him waking up in the middle of the night and sneaking off to be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, out of desperation, he's just doing it at the music shop in the middle of the day with everyone around him. Like, she's not over his shoulder. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's just in the music shop while people are shopping for tubas, doing the research.
On his
so I think
phone?
that was no, on the computer at the the shop. But I think that was a really impactful change because, like, you put it right in front of her face, it makes it, there's more stakes, you know, like, what's this monster gonna do when she finds me, like, researching here, you know?
Is she cognitive of it?
Yes, exactly.
That's a question that would have to be answered then.
Yes. So the next one is the signature trailer line, the premise line, the line that's everywhere in all the memes and everything. Bear, I love you so much, is not in that scene. It's just a basic, Bear, I love you so much, I don't think I could live without you. So somewhere along the line, either in the performance or in the rewrites, they realized, oh shit, this is our opportunity to make like a premise specific perfect line that like captures what this movie is. And I find it fascinating that like the line that people are quoting the most out of this movie wasn't even
probably
in
improvised,
earlier
right?
drafts.
Yeah, I bet it seems like a line that would be improvised.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It almost seems like one of those Adam McKay type things where Curry Barker was like, try saying this.
Yeah,
like, that's where it comes
or
from,
she did it, or she did it.
She could totally
like,
do it.
I think that this is better. So that's interesting, right?
Yep.
Okay. In the early draft, when he wakes up and she's watching him from sleep, that whole conversation is exactly the same. But when she has the thing in the weapon in her hand, she doesn't just like stand there with it. What is she going to do with this weapon? It's a crystal. And she actually walks up to him and carves a heart into his arm. And he's like, oh, and he's bleeding and it's gory. And he's like, what the fuck? And that's page 54. So,
I don't like that.
Yeah, I think it's
I don't like her hurting him.
Yes. So it's another
way.
It's another thing where they
not
figured out.
You know what I mean, right? Like, I don't, as a story thing, I don't like her hurting him.
You can see the discussion being like, does this track with what we've established
what we would
for
know?
That character? Yeah, is this consistent? Just like the cat guilt, right?
Yeah.
So it's like these little things they start to add up.
You know what it is? It's like especially my second time watching it, I was like, okay, the one thing I know for sure is she would never hurt Bear. She'll kill every single person around them.
Yes.
But she's never going to harm him.
Right.
Him being scared is actually like not even necessary. Like, he shouldn't be scared for himself.
But he doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand that. But he is not actually in danger from her. Because she keeps hurting herself throughout the movie.
Right.
Yes.
She puts her safety aside for him.
He is more important than her own well-being.
Yes.
For her.
Yes. Okay, so this is the big one. This is another big one. So post-hospital scene. So after the party where she's bashed her head in And
Right.
after he takes her to the hospital and she's bloody and all fucked up, they come home and he's like, why'd you do that? It plays out the same. But then there is a 2-page scene, 76 to 78, where she takes off her clothes and she begs him to have sex with her. Like, so what a different change.
That's
Like,
pretty big change.
yeah. She keeps saying, I'm your freaky Nikki. And he runs away. He doesn't do anything.
Maybe he
runs away.
decided to do the freaky Nikki line later.
Yes.
That's like a reveal, right?
So yeah, so number 12, I count this as 2, but I count this as 1, but it's really 2. This is another big one. So in this draft, he never calls the helpline. So there's no scene where he calls the back of the box, talks to that operator, learns the spell only breaks if he dies, and hears Nikki screaming, like informing him and us that yes, she's there, she's a prisoner, and it's his fault.
And the thing in the house is not her.
Right. That scene is not in the earlier draft.
That's nuts, because that scene is so dense and like, has so much information.
The power of rewriting. It reminds me of we learned in Nope that they shot the scenes inside the monster later because test audiences didn't understand what was happening to the victims.
Right.
And they weren't able to connect with the human stakes enough because they didn't understand what the monster was doing to the person, right? To the victims who were getting sucked up into the cloud. So this is like that, right? Without that, we don't really have a clear definition that like it's in his hands, it's his fault, like she's trapped, but there's a chance somehow if he dies that she can escape this prison, right? So I thought that was huge change. Even though it's only one scene that's like 1 page long,
if you remove that scene, I don't think it ruins the movie, but I don't think the movie is as successful.
Right. You're not able to connect with his meaningful choices.
It would make him even dumber if you remove that scene. Then he's just, you know what I
well, essentially too, he's just going into the store to figure it out, that replaces it to an extent. Is the store. But that scene's kind of great though, because it also shows how kooky the movie is.
It's also Curry Barker's voice, by the way.
You can't do that. No.
Yeah. Well, we don't really do that.
We don't do that. Also, very much like The Substance, right? Like she calls the operator. I said also very much like The Substance.
Oh yeah, like The Substance.
She calls and she's like, "How do you do the?" And he's like, "The system can't be." It's kind of very similar. And then the last big change is when he takes the pills. In the earlier draft of the script, he never tries to puke them up. So they added that little moment. He just accepts death before she makes the wish that I just described, that I just read from the script. There's no him last minute sticking his fingers down his throat because he didn't learn. So I love that little additional thing they added at the end. So there you go, 12 changes that I think were good and smart and made the script better. So it speaks to I got this this happened at the perfect time for me because I just got some notes on a script that I thought was like pretty close to ready, and they completely ripped my script up. But then I read this and I was like, you know what? Like, this is inspiring. Like, that movie wouldn't be as good if they had shot this script that I read the earlier draft. So the power of rewriting. There's value in taking feedback.
Yeah, I'd love to know when in the chain these changes happened. Did they shoot these? Did they edit them? Did they change them before the?
If I had to guess, a lot of them probably happened during shooting.
Yeah,
or right before.
Like, did they? Was it? Yeah.
I'm imagining that he also has the mindset that he created during his YouTube years. where it's kind of like you're really on the go with your ideas and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
So freedom to
I can buy
continue
it.
experimenting, basically. is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
there is some form
Yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
we'll do it live. You know what I mean? Like,
We'll do it live.
I'll do it live, right?
Maybe the call to the helpline, the One Wish Willow helpline, was a reshoot, right? Was like
I mean, it's just it's like one
him in a car.
setup. Yeah.
It's kind of
Easy
feels
to
like
do.
something that you could throw in last minute, right?
Yeah.
Just let's get Bear here. Let's just throw him in a car, put something in the background for lighting, and like record 10 lines of dialogue, and we'll do Curry later as the operator. I mean, yeah. So it's interesting, but not in the script. That's the biggest one, I think. The biggest change. Yeah.
It's so like, I don't know, just the resources are so well used and minimal. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
In this movie. Well, that does bring us to the end. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about this? Just like that has nothing to do with the talking points?
I just will reiterate, write what you have, right? If someone out there is listening and wants to take the advice we've been saying to consider like trying to make something yourself, this is a good inspiration. Write things that you can get very simply. So,
But by the way, on the fly research, it looks like the phone call was a reshoot. Yes,
there you go.
There's a Dread Central article out there that Brad Miska wrote, and it says Then there's a couple other things that they reshot, like the ending had a different ending here. It was more of a Romeo Juliet style ending, and they reshot that. Anyway, so there definitely are some reshoots.
So the phone call we just talked about, that was a reshoot. They added it. Good for them. It makes the movie so much better.
The weird thing is, it said they reworked, like the old scene wasn't working, and it almost hints that they did do a phone call and then they reshot it or something. Anyway, I
mean, honestly, that adds if this became a franchise, that call that's the backbone of whatever franchise they make.
We don't really do that.
Yeah. Who's that guy? I want to know who that guy is.
I heard his pitch for this as a franchise was to do different wishes that had nothing to do with like obsession or romance or something. It would just be this wish kind of thing gone wrong franchise. You know.
He also said like, even though it was inspired by that Simpsons episode, the Monkey Paw episode, he said that like the wishes don't have to be evil or go bad. This one did.
I remember hearing that in an interview.
Like the guy behind the counter at the end, he's got his wish. He didn't say what it was, but he seemed happy with it.
Don't bring your vibe in here,
Don't bring your vibe in here. Right. I mean, technically speaking, if Ian didn't get shot in the head by Bear's wish,
billionaire.
He'd be a billionaire, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you could argue that would come back on him somehow, but
yeah, definitely.
But apparently, some wishes in this universe can work fine. How you word it matters, I guess. You know. Okay, this is the stupidest thing. This has nothing to do with writing, but if it was me, if I had Andy Richter on set and I knew how the movie ended, I would have had just the scene where he walks into work the next day and he goes, "Where is everybody?" and then cut to black because his whole staff and his daughter are now like either dead or like one of his employees killed everybody else. I was just like have Andy, but it should be after the credits. It should just be Andy Richter after the credits.
Oh my god!
Where is everybody?
I think I heard an interview where somebody asked Curry Barker if in the ending he ever thought that Nikki would get the $1 billion. Like she would find the billion, and he was like, "That's a good idea." He didn't think of that, but it was. I
mean, she'll probably go to jail, right? Unless she gets away.
That was his answer. His answer was actually, I think she probably just goes to jail.
Yeah, there's too much evidence.
He was like,
everywhere.
He was like, but I like your ending better, where she gets the $1 billion. Yeah.
It's tragic. Yeah,
it's pretty terrible in every way. I would just avoid the online arguments because they are not great.
No,
my algorithm just keeps showing it to me. I'm like, stop. I want to see it. I don't want to see dumbasses argue about Bear being the victim. I don't want to see that. It's dumb. If you, like, it's so blunt in the movie. Okay. Did you guys have anything you want to plug?
I got nothing. Jamie, you got something, don't you?
I do. I mean, depending on when you get this is a very limited time. So if you're listening to this in the future, you have already missed this great opportunity. But yeah, I'm doing a Save the Cat Writes Horror webinar next week. It's I don't, what are the dates of Thursday and Friday in July? It's like 14th, 15th or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So July 14th, 15th, I'm doing a Save the Cat webinar. It is a paid thing. It's not super expensive for these. Sometimes these things are super expensive, but this one's relatively cheap. So it's affordable. It's got a good buy-in price. Check it out. I have a lot of new Save the Cat Writes Horror material I'll be presenting. So if you want in, go reserve a spot right now.
Nice. Jimmy, you want to plug the...
by the way, reserve a spot at savethecat.com.
Do you want to plug the questions or email?
Oh yeah, sure. If anyone has questions for us about this episode, about other episodes, just in general, you want to know what kind of pie we like, you can send them to writersblockbusterspodcast@gmail.com.
And also, I make a plea for this every now and then, so I'll make a plea for it now. If you're a new listener, or if you're an old listener and you've never reviewed the show, we love to get reviews. We share them, we check them out, we hang them on our wall, we cry over them. Yeah, it's kind of
we're quite obsessed with them. Yeah.
Every time,
yes.
every time a new review comes in, it gets us all excited. So go ahead, make our day. We don't get paid. You could pay us in reviews. It helps the podcast out. It helps people find it. And really, that's how we get paid. We get paid in reviews. It's a really sad.
It bumps us up in the discoverability every single time when you do it for like a good 24 hours.
In a world increasingly filled with AI and data centers and all the hellish things that are going on, we don't have any ads. We're not filling up your social media feed with all this bullshit that most podcasts are. At least you could do is review us, give us star ratings on Spotify, whatever.
I love this. Hell yeah.
Well, no, I mean, in a world like that, we chose a long time ago not to do that.
We did.
We chose a long time ago not to do that.
We talked about it and we said no.
Yeah, we talked about it. We made a choice. So if you want to help the little guy who's doing stuff the old way, give us a review. On any platform. I don't know what platform people listen on anymore.
For some reason, that's too much for you. Then just share it or something, or say, hey, there's this great podcast.
Leave a comment. That always helps.
Feels like, come on, wake up. You're listening. Help us out.
We're trying to beat Craig Mazin at his own game.
Yeah.
That's right.
Didn't he just he wrote just came out, right? Sheep Detectives.
Have you seen it?
Yep, it's great.
Heard nothing but good things.
Damn
you, Mazin. Damn you, Mazin.
There he goes on my short list.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime. So if you have, the Prime shipping, you can watch it. Probably with ads.
I was a Mazin fan before he became what he is. I liked superhero movie. I was the guy.
No, it's just he outwardly hates the very thing we do.
I know.
So
yeah.
Even though he does the same thing on his own show.
I was gonna say Sheep Detectives is like straight down the line.
No, it's not. He makes his own. He has wisdom that no one else has, Bob. Just listen to episode 403 like every single person on the internet tells you to do.
Well, Sheep Detectives streaming now.
Craig is not going to give us a 5-star review now.
I don't think he is.
Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
Listen to
he
episode
will. I just
403
said superhero. I like
Robert
superhero
McKee's story and Save the Cat and puts him to new terms and says he's teaching you new things that have never been said before. Yeah.
Damn.
One star for Mazin.
All this tea is making me have to go to the bathroom, so let's wrap this up. Sorry. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Bob Rose, and thank you for listening to Writers Blockbusters. If you'd like to financially support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. I've been producing the podcast for several years completely out of pocket, and I'd like to keep producing it ad-free and no longer at a loss. If you'd like to help, head on over to patreon.com/Bob Rose Sucks. That's right, Bob Rose Sucks. And if you want the one and only Jimmy George to help polish up that writing project you're kind of struggling with, head on over to scriptbutcher.com. As a listener, you already know he's the best there is, scriptbutcher.com. You can also support the show by simply sharing it or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate both. Thank you for listening, and see you next episode.